You are listening to Vitruvian Man with Jesse and Josh.
Welcome back to the show. I am here once again with Josh.
What's up, homie?
How you been?
Doing okay.
Yeah, you had a good week?
Yeah, it was nice having a long weekend and
4th of July.
4th of July. Went over to Bodega and stayed the night on Saturday and
Sweet.
went and had some dinner out in a pretty good place.
Oh, nice. Which one?
Terrapin Creek.
Cool.
In Bodega Bay.
Kind of hoity-toity? Kind of fancy schmancy? Or
Yeah, it's pretty fancy
nice.
schmancy. Is it okay? So, when I was cooking, I was looking for another job and put in got an interview.
Yeah.
And it was for this place, Terrapin Creek. And it was cool because I'd worked in this building before when it was the seaweed, and they had a completely she was insane. Like in a fucked up way, she was insane.
The owner
of the seaweed, but whatever. She got out of it. I was out of there.
Right.
And this other person took over the building and was opening up a restaurant. And I heard about it. I went, give it a try, see what's going on. And in the interview, she's like, what kind of food are you interested in? I'm all, I've been trained in Italian food and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'd really like to get away from is this kind of typical Sonoma County food, like blue cheese and fucking nuts and dried fruit in salads.
Right.
And she's
Try
all,
some innovation, basically.
And she's all, but I have blue cheese and nuts and dried fruit in my salads.
You're like, did you blow the interview?
In my head, I totally fucked the interview. And in my head, I'm like, I'll just take that resume back. Thanks.
And what happened?
I, didn't get the job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I have to say, good food. They have some good food. The only shortfall is their desserts, kind of like desserts from the early 2000s. But everything
Stuff
else
you've had like a million times.
Yeah. But everything else is really good. Had a steak. It was fucking pretty good.
Yeah, I went to a fancy smashy dinner in at a seafood place in Marin County, and it was very expensive. And first of all, we didn't talk about how we were splitting the bill, but basically, one of my friends, his mom was there buying his dinner for him, so he ordered all kinds of shit, including he ordered 3 desserts at the end. For when it's $9 a piece, it starts to add up, right? Yeah. And one of them was banana cream pudding. I'm sorry, don't order a banana dessert. If you're going to order dessert, you fucking moron. Yeah, 3 desserts and one of them was banana. I would have been fine with a bite of the peach cobbler or whatever, but I didn't, anyway, so.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, let's all split the bill evenly. I'm like, oh.
No, wait a minute.
Wait a second. I didn't get a cocktail. I didn't want dessert. You know what I mean? So. That's a conversation you almost have to have beforehand.
That's always, up front. We've done that before with the boys. We've gone out and I'm like, oh, there's some cheap bastards at this table.
Someone's not drinking alcohol, or whatever. They're just keeping track of every penny. Yeah. Yeah, that's more awkward when you're poor.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What'd you do for the 4th?
Yeah.
Nothing?
Nah, nothing. No. When Coltrane was little, we used to go, check out the fireworks.
Yeah.
But, don't care now. So, but a great week though. No complaints.
Yeah.
Hey, so today's topic, we talked about what to talk about and we thought, what should we talk about? And, sports is kind of in the wheelhouse of what we talk about in that it relies, it relates to gender issues and all kinds of things that we talk about in society. You and I are not sports fans. Would you agree you're not a sports fan?
Absolutely.
I like football, but you and I are not sports fans.
No,
in general.
I think this might have even been on one of the other podcasts that we've done. I the only time I ever enjoy going to sports is when I go with my dad and go see baseball because he loves baseball and all that stuff. But he's fucking pacing in front of the television kind of sports fan.
Yeah.
And I just never had an interest.
I remember my football team losing once, and I was in my 30s, and I got really pissed off, and I was pissed off all day. And I'm like, oh, so I'm doing this every time. Every time my team loses, I'm pissed off, and I'm pissed off all day. No.
Yeah.
No more of that. So I don't do that anymore. That's not a thing.
Yeah, I've never. I don't get it. But I mean, sports is such an innate part of all cultures, really. I mean, it's basically, everybody plays when they're a kid, and that leads into sports. And then that also leads into, I guess at some point it was, the whole idea of working together to accomplish a goal was much more important. And then it became sports.
Yeah, my stepfather insisted I play football in high school. That was for the Police Activities League. And I played, but the problem is they don't teach you how to play football. Yeah. They're all good high school players. So I didn't learn a thing about football.
Yeah.
So I was on the bench for that entire year and didn't know a thing.
Did you wear the uniform?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all of 25 pounds or something like that, These guys were all good players, so that was a waste of my time.
Yeah.
So I was not an athlete.
I remember I swam in high school, but I didn't take it seriously.
Right.
Swam in high school, played, I guess, basketball when I was in like grade school.
Right.
But yeah, sports, not my bag, brother.
I'm kind of grateful my son wasn't into sports because, my coworker, she takes her daughters to cheerleading competitions in Miami.
Chili eating competitions?
Cheerleading competitions in Miami.
All right. Sorry.
And you fly out there, you stay for a day or two, and there's a 5-minute cheerleading routine. I mean, like they're flying to Miami for a 5-minute cheerleading routine.
The stakes are pretty high, right?
Yeah, but
for those
my
things?
God, it's a lot of effort.
And it's a lot of fucking money.
And I'm just glad my son wasn't waking up every day at 7 a.m. on Saturday to go play soccer. Like, oh my God, you want your kid to be healthy and active, but maybe I'm glad he didn't get into sports.
Here's the keys, son.
I'm
13.
I should have said to him, don't you want to join the long, prestigious list of Jewish athletes? He did not. So.
Hey, you got to, I think about like Jewish athletes in general. You figure like the top athletes in whatever time period come from the poor folks.
Sure.
And the downtrodden. And in the early 1900s, the Jews were it. They were fucking true. Basketball players, fighters. Yeah. Like they were the shit back then.
That's true. They were good Jewish fighters. That's true.
And then I guess after World War II, they kind of, got out of that.
Right.
Because they started amassing, all the wealth to run the world and,
yeah,
all that, whatever conspiracy you got.
How many times a week do you box? I know we talked a little about boxing.
I'm doing it like five days a week most of the time.
I'm pretty jealous. That sounds like fun.
It's pretty fun. I'm actually getting back up to the point where I'll go in and start sparring every week too.
And your elbow's better?
It's better. I just got to there's certain things I can't do, but I can punch.
Absolutely. Sports, I think in my research I was doing about sports, it's impossible to ignore that athletes are exploited.
Oh, well, especially, yes, and especially college athletes.
Yeah. Now, I think football players can now get paid a small stipend. So there's something about, I should have looked this up.
No, there was, it might have been our Supreme Court.
Oh yeah.
That okayed it for amateurs to get
I don't think paid. It's a lot of money, but at least it's something.
It's something, yeah.
And it's better than getting kicked off the team for getting a part-time job.
Right.
Or for taking a gift or for any such thing.
Yeah. No, that's pretty brutal. Yeah. So
but okay, so now they've basically agreed to pay college athletes a small fee. Are they going to pay their health care for the rest of their life? No, absolutely not. As far as I understand, they don't.
Well, how does it work for the big leagues?
So the NFL, okay, so I have a good friend. Her brother was an NFL player, and he has dementia from his playing.
How old is he?
He's getting up there. But the good news is all of his health care is being taken care of by the NFL. So I think now, this isn't true 30 or 40 years ago in the NFL.
Fuck no.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Old timers didn't get paid very much, and they had no health care. But now I think it's finally better.
Well, it took a bunch of them shooting themselves in the heart and donating their brains to science for them to figure out that it was a real fucking thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember once my wife said something about how if women are selling their bodies to be prostitutes, then men are selling their bodies to be athletes.
Oh, yeah.
It's an interesting parallel.
It's definitely, the same kind of thing.
I'm not arguing it's the same level of exploitation. Of course not. That's not the same thing. But it is exploitation, 100%. As these people have no benefits. I mean, I'm talking about college, though, right? You can ruin your brain, your body, and everything playing college football.
Yeah, I mean, the stakes... I don't know. I would say that it is almost the same as far as severity goes. I mean, of course, it's not looked down upon culturally.
No.
But it's, I mean, you're hoeing yourself out, man.
You're giving your body for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, what kind of things did you come up with in your research? You said you found some cool lectures about sports and society.
Yeah. Just kind of giving background. And I mean, like, I guess, like I said, talking about sports coming from play and teamwork, taking down animals for the tribe and that kind of thing. That I think that kind of all spawned into it.
Right.
But then you've got like the general idea of sports and popularity now seems to revolve a lot around colonization and people going into places and bringing their sports with them, and then it gets popular in that area. So like cricket in India, rugby,
football
in
New Zealand? Yeah.
Australia.
Sure. Rugby was British, right?
Rugby is British.
Yeah.
As is football, soccer,
right,
to you Americans. And I mean that got spread from England into Europe and then brought from Europe to all the other colonized places. So that's why it's so big in South Central America. And then I mean it's everywhere now.
Yeah.
What else?
I was doing some interesting research about women in sports and how important it is for young girls to get involved in sports, because only 30% of parents believe playing sports is very important for their daughter compared to 40% with their sons. There's a mental health crisis in young women is going up. So, with anxiety and depression, sports helps those things. Absolutely. So that's why we want to continue to encourage young girls to join sports. But women in later in life, as they get older, are twice as likely to suffer from fracture after a fall and osteoporosis. So basically, osteoporosis.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said it wrong. Anyway, just basically that it's a problem as women get older too, right? That if they're not staying active the way that men kind of, traditionally, I mean, not always, but men are kind of encouraged to stay active, and women, they're more likely to get osteoporosis. So,
part of that's also just the general hormone changes as they age. Like that's a big part of it. But you can stave that off or kind of help with it if you are active, just because of all the micro breaks that you do when you're getting it. It makes the bone stronger and all that shit. Yeah.
But I guess as women get past their 40s, there is a trending problem with inactivity, basically.
For sure. And that makes, in America, guys too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
What's interesting about women's sports is like, initially women were excluded. They're excluded entirely from any kind of exertion, and what they call it porcelain doll femininity.
Yeah,
which basically they're too fragile to take all that exertion, and their fucking uterus would fall out or some shit like that. Right. Whatever fucking magic thinking they had back then. And then, after a while, so probably starting in the late 1800s, they started doing sports, but it was very localized. So, we're talking again, rich white women were doing sports.
Right.
And they were doing country club sports. So croquet, golf, tennis, things like that. But they still made them dress in basically Victorian burqas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I guess in 1884, women were allowed to play in Wimbledon, but that was after several protests and a lot kerfuffle.
Yeah. And it took a while. And they still had to wear God forbid you see a fucking ankle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Another note real quick, by the way, is that black women were not allowed to play Wimbledon until 1951. So it took 70 more years for black women to be able to play Wimbledon.
Well, yeah.
Obviously that's a whole nother ball of wax.
That's its own fucking thing. But the actual sport that they started to allow them to play was basketball. And again, they had to wear a lot of clothing. But they also had this crazy thing called the Bear Spalding rules. And apparently it was named after this woman called Claire Bear. She was an ass kicker. She got in there and she could fucking play some ball.
Play basketball.
Yeah. But the Bear Spalding rules were essentially, they were still too fragile to run much because, uterus. And so they divided the court up into 3 zones, and you couldn't leave your zone. All you could do was
because
pass
women
the ball.
can't run very far.
Uterus.
Yeah.
So they divided up into 3 zones, and then they set it up so that you just pass the ball essentially. Which I don't know what that would look like as a game.
Would look very different than what we know basketball today.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck that would work.
Because uterus, by the way, is a great excuse. We could just say that from now on. Because uterus, because uterus. So,
and then I guess the 1920s was the beginning of women and them actually getting into sports. And of course, it's the 20s because there were before 29 there was a middle class that was happening. There was a lot of money rolling around.
Right.
White women had access to things and they started playing sports and they started being independent.
Right.
Of course, fucking a backlash happens.
Yes.
And, it gets all fucking weird from there.
But thankfully in World War II that changed, right? Because basically women started playing baseball in World War II.
Right. They started actually playing sports and getting out there.
Right.
But once the war was over,
time to go back in the
kitchen, woman, because
uterus. Yeah.
And then like the backlash leads to this thing called, basically it was the apology, and it was like women would say I can play sports, however look at how feminine I am. So that led to skimpy outfits for them. Look at like what they wear in tennis. It's
right.
Like volleyball, Jesus Christ, all those things. And so
would you say the apology?
Yeah, it was called, basically it was this idea that you could be sporty, but you had to apologize for it in some way or another.
So the skimpy outfit is an apology for
being
uterus.
Uterus.
Yeah.
But also this woman, I can't remember her name, but she was like a fantastic sportswoman.
Yeah.
And she ended up like doing a spread in Newsweek or probably Time magazine, of her baking cookies. Like I can kick your ass on the field, but I can bake cookies and present them to you.
So
it's like this.
According to society, I'm still a woman.
I'm still a woman.
Technically a woman,
even though I can kick your ass. I'm still
so fucking insecure, man.
Dude.
It's so fucking nuts.
But then the whole thing with women, it really starts to change in the 60s and 70s, of course, because that's kind of when everything fucking took over and the middle class really had a lot of time on their hands. So women could focus on second wave feminism. And basically second wave feminism was the idea of like, we can do anything that men can do if we're allowed to.
Sure.
And so that really pushed through, and then Title IX got put into place, and that made it so that the funds had to be
and that equal. Was college sports, Title IX.
That's just
in high school. Oh, I meant college and high school.
Yeah.
And elementary school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
not professional sports.
Not professional sports.
Yeah.
And professional sports is still, that's still pretty, that's its own thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like and you look at like the different amount of money that's put into it, the amount of focus put onto it. It's really interesting. One of the things in the lecture was women are okay as sports people more so if they are doing individual sports. So golf, tennis, track, those kinds of things. If you're doing an individual sport, women are more accepted as a sportswoman. But once you start looking at teams, that's still like the people just don't look at it the same. That's kind of the domain of men for some weird reason.
Well, and obviously part of this is like bias and normalcy, or, you know, kind of the way things have always been. So I recommend that you and your wife check out LFG, which is Let's Fucking Go, which is the women's soccer team. Dude, I mean, I wasn't going to watch it. I've watched a billion documentaries. So when the wife starts up a new documentary, I'm like, I don't know if I can do another one.
Yeah.
But she got halfway through it and she goes, dude, you totally got to watch this with me. And it was fucking great. And one of the main crux of that was their lawsuit, because they were their audience was much larger than the men's audience, and they were getting paid less.
Huh. So what was the actual, was it
LFG is the name of the documentary about the women's soccer team.
So, okay, that's a soccer team. Okay.
Oh, it means Let's Fucking Go. It literally means Let's Fucking Go.
Yeah.
Like,
but
it's really
what was the name of the soccer team, or was it
it's
the
the
league?
U.S. Women's National Soccer Team.
Okay. All right. Oh, so with Mia Hamm?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. So they sued the United States Soccer Federation because basically they were able to sign a new collective bargaining agreement to change the pay gap, because there was a huge pay gap in what the women were earning, what the men were earning, I guess. The part I'm confused about was this seems to cross over into Olympics, and they're not paid. But there is I guess, International Soccer Federation that's got both men and women playing all around the world. And the women's audience was larger, and they were getting paid less, was the main crux of it.
The audience was larger?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's...
Yeah, the women's soccer team they were on fire. And the ratings were unbelievable, and obviously they didn't like getting paid less.
Was that the Megan Rapinoe
something
era?
Like that?
Something around there?
Yeah, something like that.
So is it still that way? Is it still...
Well, they did close the pay gap with that lawsuit, or with the collective bargaining agreement that we were talking about. Yeah. So yeah, it's better. It's definitely a lot better now.
And is the viewership the same? Is it still more for women?
That I don't know.
I'd be interested to see that.
But on speaking of soccer, the one more thing I wanted to recommend, which I don't care about soccer. I'm sorry, I just don't. But the Welcome to Wrexham show is great on Fox.
Yeah.
So that's the Ryan Reynolds and the guy Rob McElhenney from Always Sunny in Philadelphia bought a soccer team, and it's a great show. It's actually honestly one of the best things I've ever seen of any genre.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I love, they really did a great job with the women's soccer team in Wrexham, because they're very good too. And they spent a lot of time on the women's soccer team in that documentary. And this show in general is very equitable. I think they really wanted to show, they show the men and they show the coaching, they show all the kind of aggressive aspects we associate with coaching, but they show these young men going through rough times with their wife, like their baby's in jeopardy, or their child has autism, or they're showing the kind of the personal struggles that these young men go through with their wives and their kids and stuff like that. Anyway, just the show is just a wonderful. I'd recommend it to everybody. Basically,
that's one I've wanted to watch for a while. I love Mac, dude.
Oh, he's great, and Ryan Reynolds is hilarious. I think you and your wife will both love that show.
Okay,
like it's not like one of you be like, ugh, when the other one starts to watch it. I think it's a really great show to watch together.
All right, that's a good recommendation. I know
Excellent.
that Rob's wanted to watch that too. So
yeah. So one thing we haven't talked about was pay in sports. Obviously, athletes are paid really well all over the world, and this outrages some people. I personally think if I was the best guitar player in the United States, I should get paid that way. So, people get really upset when Patrick Mahomes signs, whatever it was, a $200 million contract to play football for the Chiefs. My opinion, though, is he's probably the best quarterback in the NFL, which makes him probably the best quarterback in the world. And if you're the single best at something, I think compensation's a thing. So,
well, I think that if the owners are making that much fucking money, they should be paying everybody, and that includes women in sports as well.
Absolutely.
Like the amount of money, like it is fucking ridiculous. The fact that fucking they make that much money off of sports is just ridiculous to me. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Why are sports so popular in the United States?
Man.
I mean, I was just thinking that it's kind of like an action film, right? They're bigger than everybody. They're faster than everybody. They're really incredible athletes. Obviously, there's a cultural thing like it being tied into our Sundays. It used to only be one day a week. Now it's 2 or 3 days a week. But
yeah.
I don't know. It seems to me that I guess the reason I like football is how amazing the athletes are and the strategy that goes behind it. I don't know.
Yeah, truly. I mean, like the athleticism is pretty. It's astounding what they can fucking do. Yeah,
it's kind of a magic trick. I think when you watch a great athlete, you're like, not only could I never do that, I couldn't do the thing he did for 4 seconds, much less an entire game. Right?
Yeah, dude. I gas out pretty quick. And watching those fucking boxers do their thing, it's just amazing.
My friend and I were making fun of people that call NFL players soft. Oh, that guy's soft. You know, like if you took one of those hits one time,
oh my God,
you'd never play again. You might even just die right there. But my friend has this joke. He goes, yeah, one day years ago, I said into my head, that guy's soft. And I stood up, I got up off the couch and hurt my back. Okay, so he's not soft. He's really tough and I'm not. So,
have you ever, do you know what a Kunk on Earth? Have you heard of that?
Oh, she's great.
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
Philomena Kunk.
Yeah.
So she's got this quote, the Greeks also invented another kind of theater, a theater for stupid people. It's called sport.
That show, I got to watch more of that because I've only seen 2 or 3 episodes, but I died the entire time.
Every time.
Yeah,
it's
really
fucking,
great.
It's fucking hilarious. Yeah. But, you know, so one of the, you know, like the biggest one in America, obviously, is American football.
Right.
And this thing that I did for research, he said there's basically 4 reasons that Americans love football so much. A, it's a war proxy. You know, you get your team, your nationalism, you know, your whatever tribalism you have going on out on the field, and you watch people battle it out for you.
That's a really good way to put it. I like that.
And then, capitalism, like ultra capitalism, because everything's tagged. You've got advertisements through the whole thing. It's super appealing on television. Football is very easy to follow. It's not like golf where you can't fucking follow the ball, or basketball is pretty easy to follow, but even then they don't stop that much, and there's so much stoppage in American football that it makes it easy to follow, and you can see what happened, and there's the calls and the flags and shit like that. And also during the stoppages gives them a chance to do advertising.
Yeah.
Which is also a big part of it, and the capitalism. And then you get the drama on there. And especially if you are like like somebody who follows the stats, stats. It's basically soap opera for men.
Absolutely.
You know? And then another thing that he threw in there was that it really plays into the crisis of masculinity. In that it basically, football is a throwback. American football is a throwback to a more simple time where men were men and women were naked on the sidelines.
Yeah, and those cheerleaders are not paid a thing. I mean, when you think about how much money that the NFL is making, you should look it up. It's crazy. I don't remember what it was, but it was compared to what I'm not saying a cheerleader is exactly the same as a quarterback, but they are part of this sport that is $1 trillion sport.
They bring in money.
Yeah, and so from what I've been told, they get paid very little. So,
I hadn't even thought about that.
The war thing is really good. I like that. It sounds obvious as soon as you said it, but I didn't think about that. And I think people, oftentimes you'll hear fans say "we" a lot, as opposed to "they."
Yeah,
and that kind of makes sense. It's tribalism.
We
right?
won.
This we won.
Did we? Did we win?
And I don't think most fans are delusional enough to think that they're actually part of the team. But
the language implies it.
Well, and the thing is, that's why sports marketing works, right? The fact that people are saying "we" means that sports marketing is really working really well, because feeling like you're part of the team is what they want you to feel.
But I don't even think it's really. I don't think that is. Like they didn't have to do a whole lot of marketing to make that a thing. It really is tribalism. Yeah. I mean, look at the fucking soccer ultras, man. Those guys fucking brawl. And, and all those teams have had rivalries for years. And you have to figure those those towns have had rivalries for years on a different level. And they're just not fucking stabbing each other in the neck anymore. They're kicking a ball, and then the ultras go out and stab each other in the neck afterwards.
Yeah, and Welcome to Wrexham the other day, they actually did there was a team that came in that's their biggest rival, and they had cops, and what the cops were doing was, as the crowd was leaving, they were making sure the Wrexham fans departed this way, and that the other team's fans departed this way, and near the twain shall meet, so they don't like get in a brawl or anything. So
the ultras do not fuck around. Yeah, like, I mean, God, some of the shit that they've done in Europe, like, and just, oh man, they're such racist motherfuckers too, especially like in Italy and Spain and
really?
France. Oh yeah. Yeah, they'd throw fucking bananas on the field for the black players and shit like that. No, it's awful. This was recent, man. This is only
that's
a few
terrible.
years ago.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that'll ruin your day here and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, leave it to sports fans.
Yeah, well, no offense. It's the reason why I'm not into sports mostly. I'm not saying sports fans are innately stupid.
No.
But some of them are really stupid.
No, so, it gives assholes a reason to be more of an asshole.
Absolutely.
Right? It gives them a reason to go out there and do that. They blame the fucking problems of the team on the black guy or fucking whatever it is. The gay guy. Whatever, whoever they can fucking blame it on, or if they, if they win, they can taunt the black or the gay people on the other team. Man. It's just, it's crazy. I think really it's kind of, I don't think you see that as much in America, maybe anymore. Yeah. Especially with like football, basketball. I mean, I think it's probably not overt in golf, but it's probably there on some level, because that seems, I mean, they just allowed, there's some place in one of the nicest courses apparently in America is in New Jersey, and they still don't allow women.
Really? Oh my God. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if you saw Reggie Jackson the other day talking about racism.
Man, that was brutal.
Wasn't that great though?
Yeah.
I like, it made me feel good that his teammates really supported him. And so they would drive to a hotel or go to a restaurant where blacks weren't allowed. And the manager's like, fuck this. We're going to keep on driving until we find a place that lets Reggie in.
Yep. Fuck you.
And it's like, yes, thank you. Thank you for being an ally. You know what I mean? Like, really.
Yeah.
Thank you for making this horrible thing better for Reggie. Yeah. So,
I mean, and he was fucking one of the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't even like baseball, and I know that guy's name, and that's a fucking thing.
Yeah, when Doug Williams played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he talked about all the racist mail he would receive.
Oh Jesus, Tampa Bay. I mean, fuck.
Yeah. So,
Eesh.
Yuck. Yuck to humans. Humans are the best, and they're the worst.
One of the interesting things another one of the interesting things that I came across was like. 1968 Mexico Olympics. Carlos and Smith, they won first and second place. I can't remember what the track event was, but instead of putting their hand over the heart for the thing, they put their hands up in the Black Power salute.
What a great photograph!
Super awesome. That's
the 68 Olympics, right?
That was the 68 Olympics. And
so I know they do the Black Power salute, and what were they supposed to do instead?
I think they were just supposed to, salute or, hand over the heart kind of.
What a great photo that is.
For the song. Whatever. But that was kind of the high time of activist athletes.
Yeah.
So you've got Muhammad Ali refusing to go to Vietnam.
Yeah.
After that, you've got Billie Jean King coming out for women's sports. Yes. That whole thing. And so you get this era of activist athletes. You still see it. Kaepernick. I think there's probably a couple other people that are activists, but most people, they keep it fairly low key because they want their payday. And
they don't want to make a kerfuffle, right? They want to just play the game. They don't necessarily. I get it. Not everybody was born to be an activist,
Right, but. I got to get the date here.
Okay.
In 1992, Michael Jordan, he comes out. Dream Team, they win. He walks out. Before he walks out, he's wearing the Dream Team's uniform was designed by Adidas.
Uh-huh.
He, in the game, sponsored by Nike.
Yeah.
He was going to refuse to wear the Adidas outfit onto the field or onto the podium to receive his medal.
Right.
And basically, he's like, I'm not going to wear this out there if I we got to come up with something else because I'm not wearing this out there. I make too much fucking money from Nike. There's no way I'm going to diss my sponsor.
Yeah.
So he draped a flag over his over the logo.
Uh-huh.
And this is probably fairly obvious, but that he was the first corporate athlete. So after this period of activism that you get through the 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, Black rights, Hispanic rights, women's rights, people speaking out on behalf of that stuff. MJ comes out and says, fuck all y'all motherfuckers, I'm going to get paid. And he is like the first corporate athlete out there. And that, I think, has paved the way for all these other people and for the teams to kind of sideline people if they start getting too lippy. And so basically it makes them focus on getting paid instead of having something to say. And I think Kaepernick's a pretty good example of that.
It was easy to blackball Kaepernick because he was already a backup quarterback. I said not everybody was meant to be an activist, but obviously I would imagine that someone like Jordan and people like Jordan in that position of power, I do think it's important that they are activists only because it, like you said, there's a trickle down effect in that case, right? That if Michael Jordan can say something, then it's harder to punish a younger and less experienced player for saying something. So in that regard, they are leaders, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. I think OJ is kind of the same way. He didn't give anything back to his community. He was all about payday. He didn't give a fuck.
And I don't know Michael Jordan. I can't.
Sure, me either.
I guess for me, I do respect people more when they take their money and their influence and do good things with it.
Right.
Everyone, people love to make fun of U2 and Bono. I mean, dude, the guy could just spend his money. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's not an attention whore. I don't know if he is or not.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, anybody with influence and power that chooses to do something good with it, I don't make fun of him for that. Sting gets all that shit for that. There's all kinds of bands that get shit for, activist causes. And it's like, I mean, what is the alternative?
Right.
Just play music and spend your money?
Shut up and dribble, right?
I don't know. I just think you're a better person when you're taking your influence and doing something with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and Kaepernick, that was bad. That was really bad. I'm taking a knee because of police brutality. Blackballed, completely blackballed.
Just fucking shut down.
Yeah, and I think he's still in the league, unsigned. But essentially, as a guy who does know a lot about football, there were definitely second string, quarterbacks on teams that were not as good as him.
Yeah.
So there's not a question of whether or not he was blackballed. He was.
Yeah, for sure he was.
So pretty sad.
Lame.
Yeah. NFL's not exactly have a great track record of social justice, although the Rooney Law is pretty cool. In the NFL, the owners have to interview a person of color as a coaching candidate, and that's the Rooney Rule. And I do like that because, the only way for some of these white, rich owners to meet some of these coaches is, well, I understand they're being forced to do this, but it's getting that thing of that channel of communication going. And I think, I know that some people were probably pissed off about that law, but it's good to get exposure to new people and to get those, it's like the whole thing with private golf courses we were talking about.
Yeah.
The reason women and people of color have to be admitted to those golf courses is that's where power things happen. That's where big business is done, is those golf courses.
Yeah, I'm fucked.
Can't afford it, you mean, or what do you mean?
I just don't. That's not where I go. So I ain't making any deals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. That's the thing about being rich. Could you imagine hanging out with rich people?
No, they bore the fucking piss out of me.
Or you just get a bad taste in your mouth and want to leave. I'm not saying there's no good rich people, but I definitely would not want to hang out with rich people.
It's just
I don't think it's gonna be a problem.
I think we're
somehow. I think I'm never gonna be rich. So
not real rich, you know, not for real rich.
That was that Chris Rock bit. Like, you know, Shaq's not rich. The guy that signed Shaquille O'Neal's contract is rich.
Right.
You know, the players aren't rich. It's the owners.
Shaq's done okay for himself.
Oh no, good for him.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. Shaq Diesel, man, rapper.
Shaq. Oh fuck.
Was it Kazam? Was that the movie he was in?
Oh my god.
Oh. He was great at Curb Your Enthusiasm. Did you see Shaquille O'Neal on Curb Your Enthusiasm?
I haven't seen that. I have to start working my way back through that again.
You definitely should watch that. I don't want to give you spoilers, but he's really funny in it. So he does a good job.
He seems to not take himself too seriously off the court.
Yeah. Just anybody that doesn't take themselves too seriously is okay in my book.
That's okay. Yeah, totally.
So, all right. Did we run out of notes? What else were we going to talk about?
I think.
Did we solve this problem?
Well, you know, yeah, sure.
All right. Yeah, great.
Sure,
okay.
we solved it.
Done.
Yeah, fuck
Just
it.
check that one off the list. The good news is I have an excellent asshole of the week.
Asshole of the week.
So, you know Candace Owens.
God.
Did you hear what she said this week?
No.
Candace Owens is a noted asshole and famous idiot. And she says that on her video, so she says, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. Oh, actually, what I am is somebody who has left the cult of science.
I don't know what she's talking about.
I have left the megachurch of science because what I have now realized is that science, what it is actually, if you think about it, is a pagan faith. Okay.
Oh my God, she's so fucking stupid.
Let's parse this out. Literally the opposite of faith. So she doesn't, not only does she not understand science, she doesn't understand what the word faith means.
She doesn't know what faith means.
Because when you have faith, you are asked to believe things without evidence.
Right.
Science literally is asking you to believe things based on evidence.
Only with evidence.
And not believe it, see it with your own eyes.
She's such a fucking horror grifter, dude. Like the worst grifter.
I do have to say a couple of her famous fuck-ups here. In 2020, she said that COVID-19 was a hoax, declaring it to be the most ridiculous scam in the entire world. In 2022, she hung her certificate in the forensic pathology on her office wall when she said that George Floyd died from an overdose, debunking the official medical examiner's report. Oh my God. Right? Oh my God. Like, that's just not dumb anti-science shit. That's like you are, oiling up the white hate machine with that bullshit. She said we should invade Australia because it's a police state. And I don't know what that even means, but she did say also that she believes that dinosaurs roamed the idea that dinosaurs roamed the earth until a great big meteor hit it was absurd.
You're hurting my liver, dude.
Yes,
she's so fucking awful. Do you know how she got her start?
No.
Like so in the beginning, So when she first started, I mean, we may have gone over this in another podcast.
She wasn't an Oprah person, was she?
No.
Okay.
Oh God, I fucking Oprah. We can.
Yeah.
Okay, but
thing,
Candace started out as she was talking shit about right wingers. That was her first thing. Realized that she couldn't get a whole lot of following.
Right.
Said some crazy incendiary shit. Started getting like a lot of hits. Okay. Realized that's where the bread was buttered, and started fucking on this whole right wing grift.
So much like Russell Brand.
Yes.
Maybe she realized she could capitalize on this.
Absolutely. Except that she didn't get Me Too'd.
She's stupid, but she didn't apparently sexually harass anybody.
Yeah, well, yet.
Oh, God. Yeah, the science is a pagan faith.
God damn it, dude.
God, you don't know what words mean, do you?
No.
I got to quote really Mr. Show on this. You really don't know what words mean. Because, anyway.
These are not serious people.
These are not serious people. I have one quote before we close it out. Oftentimes I'm quoting people. This is a person whose name I don't know. This is someone I've been following on Twitter a long time. He's at Killer Gorilla. And that's Guerilla. He's a socialist like we are. He says, billionaires don't wake up at 5 a.m. Bus drivers, teachers, nurses, service workers, etc. wake up at 5 a.m. Billionaires wake up whenever they want to because their wealth doesn't come from their own labor. It comes from the labor of people who will never be billionaires. Adam Carolla says a lot of stupid things, but one of the things he said that I liked back in the day was that no one works harder than poor people.
Who is this?
Adam Carolla.
Oh, okay.
Who's basically a right winger at this
point.
Yeah,
he's totally gone
libertarian
over to the dark
asshole.
side.
But I listened to actually a lot of his shows before we got political, and I liked him. I was entertained, and he did say that this notion that rich people work harder is insane.
Yeah.
He says no one works harder than poor people. You know, you take your shitty car, you go to work, your car breaks down, you take a bus, you have to get your car repaired. You don't have time to get your car repaired. You don't have the money to get your car repaired. You know, it's just talking about what a poor person has to do to get through the day just to barely break even, is insane.
It's insane.
So
and all this shit fucking, you hear like these assholes, Bezos and fucking Musk and all these dickweeds, and they're like, yeah, I work 100 hours a week. Okay. Fucking no, you don't. Going to fucking dinner is not fucking working. Going out and playing golf with some fucking dickweed motherfucker with the same amount of money as you is not fucking working. They claim that every waking minute is working, and they're fucking full of shit.
Well, I know what it's like to be obsessed with my work. So in that regard, I know what it's like to walk around, and I do work in my head sometimes, right? Like I'll work things out in my head before I put them on paper. But I'm guessing there are a lot of janitors that work 40 hours a week that would gladly swap those 100-hour work weeks.
Oh,
right. You think you work all the time? Do 40 hours of this job and get back to me.
Yeah. It's fucking ridiculous. It's time to eat the rich.
Yeah. So I know people that worship Elon Musk and worship these kind of inventors and it's like the thing is, these people are nothing without the workers. They are absolutely nothing. Next time we talk about this, I got to get this quote up. It's basically about labor and about how the scam that is being pulled upon labor by the rich to do their bidding. And it's, nothing happens without the poor and the working class. There's not a thing. There isn't a thing in the world without them. So.
And I think need to do a whole episode on Musk because he is such a fucking piece of shit. And his whole concept, like he's invented nothing. He has invented nothing. Everything that he has, he is bought, and when he bought it, part of the thing that got written into the contract is that he's put down as one of the inventors.
Right.
He didn't invent Tesla. He didn't fucking invent SpaceX. He didn't invent fucking PayPal.
Right.
He's invented nothing. He came from a fucking apartheid rich.
Slow it down there. Wait a second. Let's save that for next time. Oh no, we're going to talk about his dad. His dad's a supervillain.
Fucking supervillain. Yeah. All right.
Let's do it. Let's do a Musk episode. I love that idea.
Because I'll get all fucking hot and ranty.
You're hot all the time, Josh. Come on, do yourself a favor. All right, brother.
Oh fuck. So
we did. We solved it.
Okay.
We did. See you next time.
All right. Rock on.
All right. Bye.
Bye. You have been listening to The Trivial Man. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can either call us at 415-484-8841 or send us an email at thetrivianpod@gmail.com.